Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council of Wednesday, June 26, 2024 to order, and I will be doing the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please rise. Lord, we pray for wisdom, strength, and courage to do what is right and good for all the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. May we put the interests of others above our own, and may we act with love for the common good. Lord, may we be good neighbors, recognizing your image in every person here. And Lord, we thank you for this council, our parish president, all of our staff, and all those who work to make this place we call home such a wonderful place. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Ms. Smith, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity,
Here.
Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin, Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on May 29, 2024. Moved by Mr. Harding, second Mr. Champagne. Members vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Minutes are approved. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on June 12, 2024 has been done. Approve accounts payable bill list for 6/17/2024 and 6/24/2024. Moved by Mr. Pledger. Second by Mr. Harding. We need to clear the vote machine. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Approve manual checklisting for May 2024. Move Mr. Pledger. Second Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 1, general business. Item A, recognizing H3 Studios Competition Company on their competing and winning at the Platinum National Dance Competitions Nationals Championship on June 5th through the 8th, 2024 in Panama City Beach, Florida. That item has been pulled. They had something going on. They'll be back in 2 weeks. Item B, updated status on hurricane preparedness from Parish Administration, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, and the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Who's going first? Earl? Sheriff?
Well, good evening.
Thank you, Sheriff.
All right, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, as far as some of the things we have prepared all our high water vehicles already. We have 5 tons. We have big dump trucks that we use as high water vehicles and transporting commodities. We have contracts set up for our inmates and prepared in the event of an evacuation. And we have other contracts we made for emergency services, such as skid loaders and things like that, to get roads as clear as possible, as fast as possible. We have our essential personnel 12 on, 12 off schedule for 24 hours a day. And we have that as scheduled, so all our essential personnel. So what happens during the storm, all of my essential personnel go to 12 on, 12 off, and it's indefinite during these times of emergency. So we have all of that set up. We've since Ida, we've expanded our capabilities. As you notice, you see police trucks. Well, during Ida, we had sedans. Well, sedans don't work good in high water. Our police trucks now are equipped 4-wheel drive, and pretty much every one of them becomes an emergency vehicle in reference to emergencies and storms. So instead of having a set of trucks and a set of patrol cars, that's why we went with trucks, which is a lot more efficient for emergency services. We've expanded our fuel capabilities. Our old motor pool, which is now a criminal investigative division, we have 12,000 gallons of fuel there. And our new facility in Gray have 12,000 gallons of fuel there to include 2,000 gallons of diesel. By the rate which during Ida, we went through about 9,000 gallons a month. I can sustain for almost 3 months without resupply, so we can shift gears on getting fuel for our community. So we can sustain our needs to maintain a pace or an Ida pace for expanded period of time. Also, emergency shelters from officers. As you know, during the storm, 32 of my officers lost their home. Well, I got an emergency shelter, a multi-use facility with showers and laundry, so I can put my officers up in case of a storm indefinitely. And if I have to get campers again like I did last time, I would certainly do it because I don't want to lose any officers under those type of situations. That includes shower and laundry. And we also built temporary holding cells for any looters, because last time the jail was waxed, as y'all know. We didn't have a place to put them, so I had Connex boxes. Well, we've graduated from Connex boxes. I got temporary holding cells. So if anybody loots, we got a place to put them in the event something happens to our jail. And last but not least, if I didn't say it, we've established contracts with other entities. In the event our jail would have to get evacuated, we have to place our inmates. And the issue goes with that, for that decision to be made, I have to be a meteorologist, so I have to predict this, and you have to get them out way in advance before a storm. So when you look at the spaghetti model and there's one little string going to Terrebonne, I'm in fear of power going out, I got to ship them. It is what it is, because we don't have no emergency backup for generator, and that's a closed ventilation system. So in the event something happens, I have to get those guys out, and those guys shift gears and we put them on patrol so we can expand our services out there. Pretty much, we're pretty much ready. I've spoke to a lot of churches that have their own entities, and we set up to help them get commodities in. So in the event something happens, we can we've tapped in a lot of resources at churches. Church is a good source, and we've created a lot of good allies there that we work with them to get so we can take care of the community that way. If y'all got questions, I'm open.
All right, Sin, you got one, Mr. Pleasure?
I just want to, and this might be a little premature before the other folks come up, but I hear that it's a big thing for me with the families, and you guys provide a service. You're here when no one else is here.
That's correct.
You don't have to share it with us. I'm sure you do have it laid out, but hopefully we can make sure while we're making all these preparations that those deputies, those officers, and the fire department, EMTs and all that, you guys have something in place to help them get ready for a storm and stuff, because they're still working.
That's
and
correct.
My biggest thing is I want their families, because it's one thing for them to be here taking care of our stuff, and they have to worry about our stuff and their families out of here. So that's something that I want to just
in law enforcement, our families kind of get the ideas, like there's preparation long before they know. My wife's already talking, well, she's going to go here, and they go. But what you see in law enforcement, firefighters, a lot of those things, when there's a storm, those plans, families are doing a lot of family planning. And we put it out, I mean, to the general public. Make sure you got prescription medicine that you're going to need. Make sure you got fuel. I sent my wife with 2 fuel cans on top of her car, just in case, because fuel might have been difficult. So there's a lot of preparations that a lot of our officers are accustomed to, and firefighters are no different. They have those preparations before, so when they go, the officers don't have to worry about their families, and they can kind of focus on what they need to do.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Just wanted to mention that, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pleasure. All right, Sheriff, we appreciate all that you do. I really appreciate the forward thinking. I'm really excited. The leaders that we have within this parish, with yourself, Mr. Bergeron and his team, and the police fire chief and Earl Hughes, it looks like we have a good team that's thinking forward, looking ahead, learn from the past. So for all of you guys, including the hospital and the work that they do as well, preparation, like Mr. Pleasure's, a big key in taking care of our people that have to be there, because those nurses and doctors stay in that hospital as well. Seeing no more questions for the sheriff, we'll move on to the next person. So y'all decided, Chief? Earl's gonna do both of y'all? You're gonna come after?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Earl Hughes, Director of the Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness at 101 Government Street in Gray. We completed our hurricane exercise on May 21st. That exercise was of all the local agencies and state agencies at our office, along with all the utility companies. Very well attended. We had about 90 people at the exercise, and also had representation from GOSEP with the director of GOSEP there also. With that, we go over everybody's plans, make sure they're where they need to be, and any improvements that need to take place in those plans. So every parish department has submitted their hurricane plans to the administration and to our office, and with updates and ready to go in the event that we have a storm. One of the new things we've instituted this year is a disaster recovery services contract. Basically, this is a all-purpose contract. Pretty much anything that we may need, it's in that contract. I use it as a joke, but if I need a wrench, I can call that that company. They'll send us a wrench. In the past, we've had contracts, separate contracts for portlets, washing machine trailers, shower trailers. All of these things were separate contracts with separate companies. Now the companies have gotten pretty much merged together and have formed larger companies that can provide all of these services, even down to personnel. So that's something new that we'll have this year. And they will stay in our EOC. So if something is needed through one of our departments, it'll go through purchasing, and then it'll go to that company to supply whatever we're looking for. We're finalizing our catering contract. That contract will take care of all of our parish employees and workers. It's also for our point-to-point shelter in Monroe to provide feeding to our residents that are in Monroe. We recently met with Ouachita Parish and the City of Monroe officials to coordinate our point-to-point shelter operations, make sure that, we're on the right path on what we need and that they have what they need. They're also eligible to receive things off of this disaster recovery services contract. So if we need an extra shower trailer up there or whatever to supplement what they have, we will use our disaster recovery services contract for that. The state of Oklahoma will provide their shelter in a box group again to assist with running our shelters in Monroe, which was a big help last time. So they will be back again if we need them. We met with the Louisiana Army National Guard personnel regarding the locations and operations of our point of distributions, or what we call pods, throughout the parish. That's where we distribute the water, MREs, tarps, and ice. So we have met with them to make sure that they will be able to use the facilities that we have there and to store the amount of 18-wheeler trailers that they need at each of those sites. So we have met with them. We met with the parish library officials regarding opening resource hubs at the parish libraries, those that aren't damaged after a storm. So these places will become hubs where people can go and apply for disaster assistance through FEMA using the library's computers, and also get some help from the people that work at the library to assist them in filling out their documentation. We increased our community's capability, our communications capabilities by purchasing several Starlink systems through an emergency management program grant from FEMA. So we now have these Starlinks that we are distributing to the emergency management, police department, IT department, our department, the sheriff's office has one, and we have some spares that we can use if we need those. Those will allow us to have internet service at all times wherever they are set up. The good thing about internet service is you can do Wi-Fi calling on a cell phone. If you can hit the Wi-Fi from that Starlink, you will be able to make phone calls. It doesn't matter what phone system you're on, whether you're Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, you can use Wi-Fi calling. AT&T gave us what they call a compact rapid deployment unit. What this is a portable cell tower that produces the signal for the FirstNet phones that we use during emergencies. This unit was offered to us by AT&T, so we accepted it. We will put that antenna up at our office. It'll provide a 3/4 mile radius around our office for first responders to use on the FirstNet system, and it'll also provide Wi-Fi coverage on our grounds for people that may be driving in or driving up and need some Wi-Fi service. It's a great location where it's going to go up because it'll catch the sheriff's office, it'll catch our Juvenile Justice Center, it'll catch the Public Works barn in the back, the operations, so they will be able to use cellular service once that antenna is put up. We are continuing talks with the local radio station, which is called the Bayou Group, to provide real-time updates directly from the EOC during the storm. We have reviewed all of the parish's nursing home plans, emergency plans, to make sure they have what is necessary by law to evacuate their facilities. This also includes transportation, contracts for transportation, and also adequate receiving facilities for their residents. So this all came about to what happened in Tangible Hoa Parish with nursing home residents. So the state now requires them to have an emergency plan that is reviewed by the emergency operations manager in that particular parish. So we have done that. We have met with them individually to make sure that they have what they need and any assistance that we could provide them, that they know they can call on us if they need some help to evacuate their residents. We've completed training on the new registration system that the state has put out for evacuees from our point-to-point pickup station, which is HL Bourgeois. So as evacuees are loaded up on the bus, they're registered. That system is transferred immediately to the state, so they automatically know who's leaving our parish and where they are going to. And like I said, we'll be heading up to Monroe. It also produces manifests for our bus drivers so that when they get on the bus, if they stop somewhere and people get off the bus, they have a manifest to make sure that the people get back on the bus if they need to. The BAR group, the Bayou Area Recovery Group, has been meeting on a regular basis with our area nonprofits and religious organizations to coordinate post-storm response. These are what I call our NGOs, or our non-governmental organizations, who are very needed after a storm, and we need their help. And so we try to assist them as much as possible because we know we're going to need them after the storm. So the BAR group has done a great job keeping that group together. Tomorrow, we are co-sponsoring with the American Red Cross the first annual Emergency Preparedness and Response Summit for our area nonprofits to provide information on various topics related to storm response. And I would like to thank the sheriff for providing our lunch tomorrow for that conference. So basically, that's all I have, and I'm open for questions.
All right, any questions, Mr. Harding?
Yeah, Earl, I tell you what, across the board, I think COVID and IDA, those people that's been around for a little while, it actually gave us a heck of an experience. And everything on my checklist, you were just going through my checklist. I have a friend of mine who's deceased. He was living in a high rise. He's, he's a big guy. We had to make special arrangements for his transportation. He was like almost 500 pounds, okay? So that was one of the guys that I had to move out of the high rise, and probably was the most difficult transport that I had. So is there anything in place for people that may fall within that particular category?
So we request the Louisiana Department of Health for help with those patients. They actually have to call a triage line, and the Department of Health will triage that patient and determine whether it needs to go to a special needs shelter or a general population shelter. If they're overweight and they need some help to get down from the high rise, and I know exactly what you're speaking about, we rely on the fire department to help us get those patients down.
Mm-hmm. And another thing about that, when we got to actually to get them to HL Bourgeois, and once they were actually sent out toward Monroe, it's also difficult for an individual with a wheelchair to go all the way to Monroe.
That is correct. So we have paratransit buses that we load up the people in wheelchairs in order to get to Monroe. Now, if they can get out of the wheelchair and sit in a seat, we'll let them do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if they have to stay in their wheelchair, we use the paratransit buses to get them to Monroe.
And that was my biggest concern there because, man, that's where a lot of my people that were physically challenged was all about. And I want to say not only that I appreciate the efforts that you guys had, I appreciate that our transit bus system who picked up a lot of those folk. I also like to give a shout out to the Council on Aging who also actually assisted in the transporting. One more thing. You mentioned Oklahoma, and we had these wraparound camps. We're talking about our infrastructure, how we evacuate, and then are we have any preparations for if there are any people that are remaining here that we didn't have them go for any length of time, but the hurricane, it wouldn't be as devastating, but they don't have any housing. I know GoSelf has set up some camps and stuff like that. Have we pointed out certain areas that we can actually put some facilities like that? Because that program actually probably was the best they had in the United States. Yeah.
So what you're talking about is the base camps that we set up after the storm in the certain areas of the parish that were damaged. There is a plan to continue that if we need to, with the assistance of GoSep to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, I just want to say I want to thank the sheriff and the chief of police and Earl for those of us that have been around here for a while and unfortunately had to go through storms. It's a well-oiled machine, and the thing is they learn from their mistakes and they learn from the positive things that came about. And every year it grows into a better organization. I can tell you that I feel comfortable knowing that we have Mr. Earl Hughes and the sheriff and the police chief well aware of what can happen. Ida was a very eye-opening storm for us, okay? And we 3 years ago we were prepared. We 3 times as prepared right now. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Seeing no more questions, Mr. Hughes, we appreciate all that you're doing, buddy. You're working hard.
We thank you for your support also. Thank you.
Chief Terrio, you're up.
So the police department's plan, ultimately, we mirror each other. It's pretty much a standard operation of how law enforcement works, and that's 12 on, 12 off. Thus far, we've gone through our list. We've moved people because of promotions and different things, make sure they know what's going on, how to handle the new situations, because we will be responsible for all the shelters, which ultimately those always end up in the city limits. So we'll make sure if we open a shelter, we're prepared for that, and we are. We maintained all our generators, made sure all our facilities are ready to go, monitoring our vehicles, making sure everything's in a good working condition. We do have a special operations team that no matter what happens, we will have what's called our Category 5 team that stays out on the road, and we will respond as needed, just as the sheriff will. Ultimately, we all talk. Communication is what we learned is most important, both before and after the storm and during the recovery. We may be responsible within the city, but we will go and do anything we have to help out all the citizens within the parish. And our department will be there for whatever is needed. We learned a lot from the storm, from the hurricane with water and generators and everything else, and we know where we need to go to make things happen, to get it back up and going, and the route and avenues we have to follow to get it done to make sure the parish is back online. So immediately after the storm, we have a team that goes out and starts photographing any damage we have. I think there's actually some new, there's a new program also that's coming into play with that, but we do have a documentation team that goes out. But ultimately, my plan mirrors what the sheriff does. My guys are available to him, and I know his are available to me for whatever I need, and we're there for each other. So, any questions?
Any questions for the chief? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Wait, Mr. Bergeron?
I have a question.
You're-
I was going to go next.
Okay, so you're next. You're on.
Yep. So we're going to start with a video that we put out and shared to talk about hurricane preparedness. So we'll show that.
Hi, I'm Jason Bergeron, Terrebonne Parish President. Hurricane season is upon us, and it's important to start preparing now. Here are a few things you can start with. Where do you plan to be when a hurricane strikes? How will you communicate if cell towers are down? Take time to meet with your family and make sure everyone in your household knows and understands what will happen in an emergency. Assemble disaster supplies. Don't wait until the storm is in the Gulf to start building your emergency kit. Stock up on supplies while shelves are still full. Pick up extra batteries, bottled water, flashlights, and enough non-perishable food to last for 3 days. Strengthen your home. Trim weak or damaged trees on your property. If you have storm shutters, test them out to make sure they work. You can also use sheets of plywood to cover windows. Just make sure you have enough and that they haven't been damaged since the last time you used them. Hurricane season can be stressful, but taking action today will ensure you are well prepared if disaster strikes. Together, we can be Terrebonne prepared.
So that's something we do. I can tell you that we've had many meetings, and we had a hurricane drill that we went through already, and basically said, let's look at all scenarios. Let's come up with what we hadn't thought about or what issues we dealt with last time and how we could do those things better. You know, the big thing I'm gonna say, anytime we have this conversation and every time we get ready to deal with a storm, is to be, when we talk about evacuate, to evacuate. You know, we probably had 50 to 60% evacuation for Ida. I myself saved a lot of damages by being there, but if anything happened to any of my family members, it would have been worth it. And so, you know, you look at this water event we just went through where access roads might get cut off, and you know, the storm's 700 miles away. So, you know, working with the sheriff and having conversations about not locking down the parish. You know, historically people are worried, can I get back in? Can I get to my property? Can I check it? You know, the main priority is gonna be getting the roads cleared. People have to know that if you come back, we might not have emergency services. You might not have water. You might not have electricity. You know, maybe come check it out and then go back where you are. But to make sure you keep your family safe, we'll be here protecting your property. We're going to be very hard on looters and anything else, and anybody that tries to do anything like it, like Tim had said, that we're going to put them in temporary jails if our jail's not available. But we're going to make sure we get them on the law as hard as we can. But it's just, you know, making sure that you are prepared to evacuate. That if you're not sure, reach out to us. We'll let you know. We can help you walk you through this process and make sure you know what resources are available. But it's going to be evacuate, because loss of life is not worth it. And so we just want to make sure. I want to thank everybody for coming up here and talking and us having this conversation. You know, again, just like a water event that none of us expected, Grand Isle had water, Galveston had water. You know, so depending on where that storm goes, could change dramatically the effects that we have to deal with when it comes to wind, when it comes to water. And so, again, just be prepared, get a list together, get a game plan. There's some apps you could use at the GoSet website. And if you're not sure, you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the sheriff's office, to Parish, to emergency preparedness office, and ask questions so we can help make sure all our residents are prepared. So, any questions?
All right. Thank you, President Bergeron. I have a motion to go into 6:30 public hearings by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. We're going into public hearing, 6:30 o'clock public hearings relative to item A, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 single-family residential to R2 two-family residential, Lot 35, Block 2, and Lot 36, Block 3, Henderson Park Subdivision, 237 Henderson Street, Houma, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, Edgewood Holdings, LLC, applicant. Call for public once. Second call for public. Third and final call for public. Have a motion to close by Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. A motion to adopt by Mr. Harding, second Mr. Pleasure. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. The ordinance is adopted. Item B, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the Parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to C2 General Commercial, Lots 6 through 9, Block 4, Crescent Park Addition, 509 Sunset Avenue, Houma, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Southland Dodge Chrysler Jeep LLC applicant. First call for public. Come up to the microphone, please. And would you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Kelly Haddad. I reside at 500 Sunset Avenue in Houma, along with my husband, David. And David's sister and brother-in-law, Lisa and Eldridge Robichaux, live next door at 508 Sunset. Both are across the street from Southland Dodge. Both houses have been at that Sunset location owned by the Haddad and/or Robichaux family for more than 75 years. Obviously predating the establishment of Southland Dodge. David and I relocated to Houma from Baton Rouge after 30-plus years when he retired in 2018 and my company allowed me to work remote. We were very tired of Baton Rouge and the big city life, and we decided the small town was what we wanted to do, and we have not regretted that decision. We invested in extensive renovations at 500 Sunset, not once but twice after significant damage from Ida, and we are very content there. Now, it's my understanding that Southland Dodge moved to the Sunset location in the late 50s or early 60s prior to the current zoning regulations, which puts it in a non-conforming or legal non-conforming allocation. I sincerely doubt that the neighborhood had any say in whether or not Southland Dodge should be put into the middle of their neighborhood. That's neither here nor there. It's where it is. Before Hurricane Ida, Southland had a privacy fence around their storage yard, but the hurricane knocked that down and it was never replaced, so we have a rather unpleasant view from our front doors. We have tolerated noise and increased traffic resulting from the business. Therefore, we are very against any rezoning other than a C2, a C3, or C6 due to the fear of the unknown. We have no idea what kind of business could come in there. If the rezoning is to go forward from the current non-conforming residential zoning to a C2 as per Southland has requested, it more likely than not would result in greater pedestrian and vehicular traffic, noise, and a decrease in our home values. We love our homes and we love Houma. We love living here, we love the people, and we love our neighborhood. And we want as want as minimal changes to the neighborhood as possible. Therefore, we are respectfully requesting that you consider our viewpoints when making your decision.
Thank you for coming, Ms. Haddad. Second call for public. Third and final call, public. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Frank Touton Jr. My address is 278 Destiny Place in Houma. I am the owner of Southland Dodge Chrysler Jeep. And we did request a C2 zone because that's what we're grandfathered as, and that's what is adjacent to us, behind us on Magnolia. After the hearing we had with the Planning Commission, I had discussions with Mr. Pulaski about the options I had and the difference between C2 and C3. And we have no objection to changing our request to a C3, which is neighborhood commercial. It fits with my plans, and to tell you what those plans are, that's being operated as a body shop and collision center on 2 addresses. You know, there's a Sunset Avenue and also on Crescent. We are moving those operations to our main location on West Park. And so I'll be doing something else with that property after the move, possibly sell it, possibly rent it. And so I learned early on that the zoning was a problem, and in order to get that out the way, I hired a surveyor to tackle the issue. So that's the whole reason why we're doing it. But to sum it up, I'm okay with C3.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you all for letting us come up and voice our opinions and concerns.
Yes, sir.
David Haddad, 500 Sunset, and we're right across the street from South and Dodge, which has been a good neighbor. I mean, we have nothing against the business. What we want to do is preserve our neighborhood as much as possible, and make it a good place for people to move into and stay, and not have too many interruptions in family life. And that C3 seems to be a good compromise. We're okay with that too. We'd just like to really impress upon everyone that we got a little bitty neighborhood here surrounded by commercial property, and we're just trying to hold on to what we can, protect our property values, and give families a good place to ride bikes and walk and not have too many competing businesses that might interfere with that. So if C3 is the best way to go, we'll accept that, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad. Third and final call, public. We have a motion to close by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Champagne. Members, vote your machines. Mr. Trusky, I'll get to you on the motion to accept. I'm just closing public hearing. All right, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Mr. Trusclair?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Hearing both sides agreeing to change this to a C3 zoning, I'm gonna make a motion that we pull this and have them reintroduce it as C3.
Mr. Babin's got some wording from the attorney.
Well, good for you.
So
Thank
if you want to get that wording, you're welcome to read it. We just want to make sure we do that. Yes. Thanks, Mr. Trusclair. All right, so Mr. Babin.
Yeah, after meeting with both Mr. Tutone and the neighborhood, an agreement was put forth through the help of Mr. Pulaski that C3 would be beneficial to the community as well as the person that's there. It's more restrictive than the C2 that was put forth by the Planning Commission. Actually, it was sent to us from the Planning Commission. As you all know, up here, we make the final decision on zoning. So after you've heard both sides, if you will, tonight, I'd like to move to amend to republish the ordinance replacing C2 with C3 and to advertise a notice of intent to adopt the ordinance as amended and hold a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second. All right, so I have a motion by Mr. Babin to amend from C2 to C3 to republish the meeting and have a public hearing on the date he stated. Seconded by Mr. Hamner. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. So that'll come back to us in 2 weeks. Item C, an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and budgeted positions of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Houma Downtown Development, $128,677. Pollution Control, $116,248. Pollution Control, $108,000. Sanitation Vegetation Credit, $23,700. Eliminate one full-time Mechanic 2, Grade 106. Eliminate one full-time Equipment Operator 2, Grade 106. Add one full-time Crew Leader, Grade 107. Item 5, Sanitation Solid Waste, credit $19,310. Eliminate one full-time Field Tech 1, Grade 103. Eliminate one full-time Field Tech 2, Grade 104. Add one full-time Equipment Operator 2, Grade 106. First call public. Second call public. Third and final call public. We have a motion to close by Mr. Pleasure, seconded by Mr. Trusclair. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Ms. Chauvin. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. The ordinance is adopted by 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item D, an ordinance to dedicate and accept the maintenance operation of the streets, drainage servitude, sewer, and rights-of-way for Adley Oak Subdivision Phase C, energize and accept the streetlights, and to incorporate Red Knot Drive and the extension of Adley Avenue into the enhanced 911 emergency response system for the purpose of providing a better means of locating addresses. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close, Mr. Trosclair. Seconded, Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trosclair. Seconded, Mr. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines. The ordinance is adopted by a vote of 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item E, an ordinance to declare a surplus and to authorize the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government to donate 4 transit buses no longer needed for the public purposes to Terrebonne Parish Council on Aging Incorporated for use in the transportation of the elderly in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, and to authorize the Terrebonne Parish President to execute the necessary documents to effectuate the donation and to provide for related matters. First call, public. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Motion to close, Mr. Trosclair. Second, Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trosclair. Seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is adopted. Motion to go back into regular order by Mr. Trosclair. Seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. We're going back into regular order. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, the next item is a presentation by administration relative to capital projects, which may take a while. I'm not sure. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to deviate and take item F.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Babin to go out of order into item F, seconded by Mr. Hamner. To members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. We're going to item F, commendation. Recognizing Terrebonne General Health System and its legacy of health care excellence on its 70th anniversary. Mr. Champagne.
Thank you, Speaker. I have the privilege of reading this commendation. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne, a commendation, whereas for 7 decades, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope, taking the lead to deliver medical excellence and innovation to the people of Southeast Louisiana. And whereas Terrebonne General provides a high-tech, high-touch style of healing that offers an expansive range of services, including hospital care and preventive care, while also providing basic health care needs on and off-site. And whereas their highly skilled healthcare team is dedicated to the health and well-being of our region, consisting of over 1,500 employees with over 450 medical staff providers that offer 42 various specialties. And whereas Terrebonne General is a pillar in our community, offering generous community outreach service efforts, supporting business partners, and being a significant catalyst in providing a substantial economic impact in our community. Now therefore be it resolved by Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the Parish President and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the date of July 1st, 2024 be hereby recognized as Terrebonne General Health System's 70th anniversary, and that Terrebonne General be hereby commended on its legacy of healthcare excellence for the people of Southeast Louisiana, and be it further resolved that for the month of July, the public is encouraged to express their appreciation for and awareness of the people's facilities and technology that make trustworthy, reliable healthcare possible in our community. Presented this 26th day of June 2024, Parish President Jason Badron, Council Chairman John Amity, and the entire Parish Council. Thank you.
Anybody that wants to get in on the picture, come on up.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
I'll be quick.
Thank you. Do I need to say who I am?
Please state your name and address just for the record, please.
Sure. Phyllis Peoples, President and CEO of Terrebonne General Health System. 219 Tiger Tail Road is my home address. Just a couple of things I'd like to thank definitely all of the council and President Bergeron for all of the recognition. It may not seem like an accomplishment, but 70 years is a long time. I've been in this role well over 21 years. I've lost track, if you can imagine. But we recognize that we've only been entrusted for a small period of time. Terrebonne General started, again, 70 years ago in a small facility, and we have grown to a very large organization, 321 bed, with a lot of outreach now consisting of multiple other facilities. We do have an amazing support system with our parish and with our council and with our community partners who do an amazing job. Also, our board has been very supportive also. Many of you who know me know I'm not a shy personality, so they just let me do what we need to do to continue to grow and serve our population. One of the questions that wasn't asked, while I do have just a moment if I could, is that hurricane preparedness. I know that we talked about what we do in our parish and what we do from our sheriff and our police and our fire. But remember, healthcare is an integral part of what we are and who we are here, especially in a hurricane. Because whether we have water or electricity or anything, we can't provide care. I can't sterilize equipment. I can't provide an ER service. I can't do anything. And in things like COVID, we come up to the front. And things like Ida, we come up to the front. So organizationally, our staff do stay. We do have 1,500 staff members. We divide those out on who's there. We have a team A and a team B. And to your point, families recognize, I've been doing this for 30 years, staying for a hurricane. So we all recognize what the dedication it takes. But hopefully our people will evacuate in our community, because if you do have a heart attack, or you do have some kind of issue, or you have a child that can't or go into a diabetic coma, without the hospital, we're not able to help you. And so you do need to get your medication, and you do need to leave to safety. That's an important part. If you do need us, we're always there. But again, we'll be compromised too, just based on the weather. So again, but without everybody making us the priority, and I've worked with all of you and all of our water and supplies, and they make the hospital the first priority to get online. And we can't thank enough, because that's where you go when things are bad. So thank you so much for all the 70 years and all that we do and all of your help. We recognize what your support means to us, so thank you so much.
You know, Ms. Peoples, I can remember when what we call the new building in 1984 was opened, a lot of the staff was saying, we'll never use all this space. You can't even see it today standing in the front. You guys have grown so much, and I think a lot of that growth has really helped our economy. Not that we want to see people ill, but because of the specialized care that has come in as a result, it's really helped the area to diversify its economy. So with that, we really appreciate all of what y'all have done over the years and continue to do.
We're one of the largest economic engines in this community with a patient base, but also an employee base of 1,500. Remember, we also help oversee Chabert, Gulf Coast Organization, and Physician Medical Centers, all part of Terrebonne General, in addition to all of our outsourced clinics and a bunch throughout the community. So, yeah, we have a large, I guess, catch basin of care.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yeah, I just want to thank Terrebonne General Health Systems for everything they do in our community. It seems like every event I go to, some level, shape, or form, they're involved in sponsorship. And I know just like the parish, they are still battling some post-Ida repairs and everything. And so I just want to thank them and congratulate them on their 70 years. And I think it is a major milestone. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bergeron, and thank you, Ms. Phyllis.
Thank you.
Motion to go back into regular order, someone?
Motion to go back in regular order.
So we have a motion to go back into regular order by Mr. Pleasure, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. We're going back to general business. Item C, presentation by Parish Administration relative to capital projects. Mr. Bergeron.
Yes, sir. So we have a slideshow. I guess it's ready, all right. Make sure this works. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, we were asked for some updates on projects that are going on, and we're more than obliged to provide this information. If you want, we'll go through the presentation, and if there's any questions, we can answer anything after. So the first thing we want to start off with is CDBG DR funding. It's one of the many acronyms that we deal with. Just to kind of, there's an article that it came out very recently, and I just want to make sure that everybody's under the understanding and knowing where we are. So when you look at our first allocation, we turned that in January 8th. Our second allocation, we turned that in March. Both of those recovery plans have been approved by OCD. That's the Office of Community Development with the state. $42 million in the first allocation, $76 million in the second allocation, for a combined total of $117 million. We are in the process, and we were in the process of answering some questions on the first allocation, and then, of course, things were changed. So you can see we are doing project applications on both the first allocation and the second allocation. And what that means is when you look at the list of projects that we have to take each one of those individual projects, and we have to turn in a project application for it, very detailed, locations and other information as far as what we really plan to do. You can see this information on our tpcg.org/recovery page on the website. But with the change being made that the new application deadline is for November 30th, 2024. So that doesn't mean that we got till that time frame. We're going to wait till that time to turn things in. We're in the process of going through these project applications and turning those in. Not until these project applications are approved will we get funding to start to spend the money of the $117 million. And whether it's a project at a time, and Candace can elaborate, whether it's project at a time or first allocation money first and then second allocation money. Again, we were getting questions answered that would you do June 19th, and then the state came back and said, okay, now all application deadline is November 30th for both first allocation and second allocation. So we're ready to spend that money and ready to get these projects going as soon as we get approval, number one, and funding, number two. So we are in constant conversation on this topic, working with our consultants that we work with to get this done. But this is where we stand as far as the CDBG-DR funding. I don't know if you want to add anything, but any questions on that before I move on to the next topic? Anybody?
Mr. Champagne?
So I just to clarify, so you have sent applications to OCD, and now that was approved, and now you're sending in specific project applications.
We sent plans.
Plans.
Recovery
Plans.
plans, OCD.
Right.
They came back with questions. So on all our first allocation, we were going through answering questions, and we had a deadline of June 19th to turn that in. And then they came back and said, let's take everything and make it to where you start turning in your project applications, which is that next step. per each project, which is all now due November 30th. But we're not waiting. We're in the process of getting some things organized and structured. And once a project application is ready to go for project A, we're sending it in. Project B, we're going to then send it in. So it's not going to be, we're going to wait till November 30th and turn everything in.
All right, Mr. Harding.
First allocation, second allocation, new application deadline. And the target is 117 million, but we can be above and beyond that 117 million according to what they approve and cannot approve.
I mean, as of right now, we're operating in $117 million worth of projects. Of those projects being estimated that we think this project would be X million and this project would be X million. Through this question and answer process, they want to get a better understanding of what we're trying to do. And in some of those cases, maybe they'll say, okay, we'll allocate more here, or we might take some away here. Or as we go through this process with them, and just to make sure everybody's on the same page, we had a phone call with Lake Charles. And even though Lake Charles had a year before us that they had all these storms, they're in the same process with us right now, going through this CDBG-DR process. You would think they're a year ahead. No, we're going through this process together. And it's actually our storm that helped get them some attention to get funding to them. And so it's one of those situations that says, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, we've never been in this situation before going through this process. So as we go through it and as we work with OCD, this is a great relationship. I think we're moving forward with it all, but it is to go through this process and make sure that we have as much detail and everything they need for them to say, yes, we agree. Okay, this project's going to be awarded X amount of dollars. And then as we see through, and Candace can clarify whether or not we turn an application, they might let us know in a month, or they're going to wait for all our applications to go in, and then they're going to tell us after November 30th. That's information that Candace, we can elaborate on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the OCD doesn't really tell us when they're going to review it, when they're going to do that. So they have told us, though, as the project applications get submitted, they will review them. So they're not going to wait for all 50 of our applications to get in. So we have, now that we know we have November 30th deadline for all of them, we've taken a look back at our projects and said, do we want to prioritize, and maybe some that were part of that second allocation. We just got that approval last week. So now we're able to say, do we want to maybe prioritize and move some of them? And to elaborate, Jason is correct. We can reallocate some funds. So if they go through this project application process and they say this doesn't meet all of the requirements, we don't lose that money. It goes back in our bank, and we can then reallocate it either to a current project, which I think we would probably want to do, or start a new project application. But we would probably try to stay in the path that we're in and not mess up anything. So if we could just add those fundings there, that would be great.
So as we go forward and we're looking at the 117 million, I think the question would be for information to the people. Once this goes in and we have this November 30th, 2024 deadline that we actually supposed to have, and that we're going to actually have the application in before then. At that point, would it come back to us to approve what y'all doing, or y'all automatically submit?
So no, sir. It would the only time it would come back to the council is if we have to reallocate some funds because something was denied. So the council approved both the second allocation recovery plan and the second recovery plan. So those are the projects that we're basing, those are the ones that we submitted as the plan approval and the ones that we're using to move forward for the project application.
Yeah, and I was only posing the question because what was in the first allocation, if actually didn't get any money and didn't spend it toward it, you had to regroup and actually spend the money somewhere else. That means that money that was there and we already approved, then it's actually available in another area, isn't it? So,
I mean, I would say the funding is allocated to the items we picked in the first allocation that were brought to the council, and then the items picked in the second allocation that was brought to the council. The funding is gonna, as we go through this project application process, is on those specific projects. So to say we didn't get the first allocation or the second, they said we're gonna put this in one pool now, and we need the detailed information on everything you submitted in the first and the second allocation.
Yeah, I might be saying, first allocation has bottled water in it, but that bottled water is not in that first allocation nor is it in the second allocation because it's not approved. Then the other one is ink pens. So in that ink pens, so both those are not approved, then that money that we already had there, we have actually agreed from up here, that money is available to be allocated
Yes, sir.
somewhere else other than what we agreed to.
So no.
No?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, sir. Let me explain that. So if we're reallocating it, it would go back, it would be reallocated to a project that was included in a recovery plan already.
Okay.
If it, for some reason, we had an extra amount of money that doesn't need to be reallocated, we would have to start that whole process over again if it's a new project that hasn't already been approved. I don't anticipate that happening. So it will all be based on the allocations.
Let me just say something that might clear that up. We had additional projects over and above in case those projects
Yes, sir.
wouldn't meet the guidelines. So we're not going after a new project. We're just, okay, that one didn't work. Let's slide that alternate in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we had, I think, 4 or 5 alternatives in
One of
both
them was
allocations.
one of them was a jail. I think it had something to do with the jail, wasn't it?
So
Alternate.
the jail was the alternate in the first allocation. It was moved up to a priority in the second allocation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Ms. Chauvin?
So my question would be, are you, when it was brought to the council, it was an outline of the projects that we were looking at, so we don't know the specifics of each project, or are we going to get the specifics of each project?
We gave backup on the specific projects when we brought it to council.
So it's not going to deviate, it's not going to deviate from?
It can't.
It can't. Okay.
That's it, Ms. Chauvin?
Yeah, no, that was it.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, ready?
Yeah, and one other thing, there's time restraints on this, correct? We have so many years to start project and finish the projects. So any reallocation, it's going to be, they're going to determine if the project is not worthy. If it's not worthy, the first step is to go to another project that we're already in. If then we run out of projects, then we already have a supplementary list to continue. So the money will be used on projects that have already been approved by us.
And it'd be hard for me to understand, the money's got to be spent July of '28, but if they come back and say we're going to push November 30th to July of '25, how much that's going to move on the back end, I can't see him setting us up for failure,
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Pledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to sum it up for clarity for myself as well, and for maybe potential of the viewing public, of the $117 million, the projects are already picked. If they void those projects and say that they're not acceptable or they won't work, the other projects are already picked, so we're done with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pledger. Seeing no more questions,
We'll
if
go
you
to the
want
next
to
section.
continue on.
All right. So this has been a popular topic, the Butte Bridge. I could tell you that I sat down with Candace and said there's got to be a faster, better way, right? This has been something that myself personally, knowing what I know about what you can do to manufacture and build things out, there was a lot of conversation early on about there being a span only. Basically, as I understand it, and please correct me if I am incorrect, that the only thing that won't be changed is the steel frame. I mean, if you look at the repairs and replace components, the roof is ripped off, the electrical was damaged, bearings and, lighting, anchor bolts, you'll go down this whole thing, and the span is going to be repaired and or replaced. If you look at the time frame for the span with a repair versus replace, the span part of it being replaced took less time than to repair the span, but that didn't mean that every other component on the frame itself will be replaced, right, or repaired. So I actually had a picture that I had him draw of everything that needs to be repaired or replaced, and it's pretty much the entire bridge. So we're currently working on final design, while concurrently working on permits. We're expected to go out to bid for October of '24, and expect to have an ending date of October of '26. And so once that's completed, we are looking at temporary repairs, including conversations about raising low parts We just do not want to create a down road on top of a down bridge immediately. But, pictures from the recent water event is a conversation I'm going to have that says, what are the options do we have when the fact that we have high water that blocks the road past an area that also has a blocked bridge? And so I could tell you that we are doing everything in our power to make sure this happens as soon as humanly possibly can. And that we do agree that this is taking longer than we think it all should. But part of that's been working through FEMA to have a conversation of how long does this take, how much that costs, and that whole process to get to the point where we are today, which we all feel is unacceptable, and we are on board with that. So I don't know if anybody wants to add anything with that, or if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, I just want to say to the listening public, nobody wants this bridge done more than the past administration and this present administration. Because some of the same people involved were in the past administration and now in this administration. FEMA has put a number of roadblocks in our way. And again, we don't wake up every morning trying to say, how can we hold this bridge up more? We wake up every morning saying, how can we speed this process up? And the dates that you just put out, and I think we may be on HTV next week talking about this with Royal Engineering. But what people want to hear is that it's in design. We hope to have it out to bid in October of this year and a final completion by October 2 years down the road. So again, that's 5 years from when it happened, but the process was never held up by the previous government nor this government. We've pushed forward every time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Berger?
All right, so we'll go to our next project is post-Hurricane Ida repairs. Both decorative and non-decorative streetlight projects are expected to be complete by the end of June of 2024. So we're right on that project being complete. Hurricane repairs have been completed for the main library, the Public Works South Campus facility on Grand Caillou Road. They have started those repairs, and we're expecting completion on September 19th of 2024. The government tower, our roof repairs were completed. And as I was going through this presentation, learning that our interior repairs are expected to complete in September. It was August recently, so now it's September of 2024. So we are excited to get that complete and get people moved back to the main government tower building, along with everything else that we're working on. So even we have our bridge per se. The BFW Barrow Street location, estimated notice to proceed is July 12th, 2024, with an estimated completion date of January 11th, 2025. And we're going through some asbestos remediation, which is required. For our fire stations, we have one on the air base that everybody calls, looks like the Hershey Kiss, working with FEMA on the obligation of a new station. All those station repairs have been completed or are nearing completion. Water tower repairs on the roof have begun for the fire station downtown. The Civic Center, notice to proceed given on May 13th, 2024. Exterior work is being currently performed. You'll see that they've gone through a lot of the damaged light pole water stations, and those are being repaired. Interior work is being worked on, should start by the end of this month. And then anticipated completion date is February 7th, 2025, with part of that project being replacing actually one set of bleachers. And we're working to see what we could do to find funding to replace the other set of bleachers. Any questions on the Hurricane Ida repairs? Nope. All right. Power plant. FEMA has obligated $66.2 million and are submitting another version for an additional $103.8 million for a total of $170 million. We're in the process of looking at starting the design. We'll build back with more efficient technology and allow for some opportunities for the power plant to be called on more often. We're exploring options and funding sources for a larger than an 80 megawatt, but because of the time frames that are required to do that, we're going to proceed with the 80 megawatt as of right now because FEMA will only replace what we had. And we do have the possibility and opportunity to add more megawatts in the future in a separate building with not a huge additional cost. We were looking at economies of scale and trying to figure out, could we partner now and do 101 megawatts or even higher than that? But again, that process is probably a year out pushes the whole project a year further. So we're going to roll to 80 megawatts and work on getting that design shortly. The design and FEMA obligation is expected to take 6 to 8 months. Right now, temporary generators are in place. To date, in 2024, they've been called on for 300 hours. In the same period in 2023, it was 100 hours. Noah and myself did a walkthrough today at that power plant, and while we were there, the generators were on. And without those generators, we would have rolling blackouts. We are in a 200 megawatt pocket between Morgan City and New Orleans. And of that 200 megawatt pocket, we were providing 80. Right now, we currently have 20. And then we're actually having to purchase power from other areas. And so, and that's part of a system that we work with at a statewide level and making sure that we have the right megawatts here used and produced and bought that we work with every day. So, any questions on the power plant? Nobody? Nope. All right. So bayous, Bayou Terrebonne dredging, clearing, and snagging. We completed a project with funding received from NRCS for IDA with Bayou Terrebonne vegetation and debris removal. That was, if I'm not mistaken, we stopped at where?
This is
trying to remember the location.
So that particular project was after Hurricane Ida. That was done pretty much throughout the whole Bayou Terrebonne canvas. And after that, starting in February, we had money allocated for Bayou Terrebonne cleanup, and we did that. We used those funds to clean up approximately 11 miles of Bayou Terrebonne, which is what the budget would allow for at the time. Moving in, going forward for Bayou Terrebonne, there's statewide flood control money, $7 million has been there since 2012 to dredge that bayou. That could be a mechanical dredge, not just a hydraulic dredge. So mechanical dredge could be a literal snag and clear. It could be 6 inches, it could be a foot, it could be 1 inch, right? It's just you can clear the bayou via dredging with that money. That project is with GIS. They're currently scoping it out, and then we'll have something for us to bid on by the end of the year. So that's going to be a big project. Bayou Terrebonne is a long bayou, and we're hoping to set a precedent with cleaning up our main bayous with this project.
And from there, we are working on funding to work on that same process through the rest of our bayous throughout the parish, going up to at least even the federal level and working to find grants and other things that we can do to make sure our bayous are maintained, that they're healthy, and that people want to spend more time in them. When you look at derelict vessel removal, we have over 900 derelict vessels in our bayous in Terrebonne Parish. Right now we have $1 million of IDA insurance that we're allocating to go to bid, and we're looking at trying to get the best bang for our buck and trying to grab as many vessels in one area. So we're starting with the Bayou Grand Caillou area, and we're working on other grant funding along with Bayou Terrebonne dredging. When you look at water and sewage and everything that works between all our waterways, trying to find more funding to allow for less sewage in the bayous, more water flow, introducing more water from Bayou Lafourche into Bayou Terrebonne. We're looking every way possible, shape, or form to get our bayous to be healthier and to utilize one of the best natural resources we have in our region. You can, sure can.
So a common theme with both these projects for bayous is collaboration with the Army Corps of Engineers. Right, that's how you get permitting for both removing derelict vessels and doing dredging. So we're working with our delegation to make sure that that permit process is smooth and is efficient. It's always an issue that seems to be a little unknown, and we're going to work to clear that up, like we're doing with DOTD and Wildlife and Fisheries and other state agencies.
And I'll add to that. So you look at some of our waterways, just like some of our roads are state. So when we look at Bayou Black, we do have to work with DOTD and other organizations. But while we were in DC, we were made aware of another grant that has an opportunity to provide derelict vessel removal. So again, we're looking at all funding sources and opportunities to get our waterways more navigable, cleaner, healthier, and have our residents allowed to use the bayous. Any questions on the bayous?
We got a couple of questions, Mr. Harding.
Yeah, originally you guys went to derelict vessels, and I just want to put it out there. I have a concern for the condition, what it seems like, what it looks like. I went in the northern end of the parish for Bayou Terrebonne. Kind of concerned about how Bayou Terrebonne looks coming from around, I guess you can say, Koto Road going all the way up to Shreveport. We're looking at some, I don't know, we really need to really look at it that way. So whatever way that we can possibly address that issue, open up the waterways, and hopefully, you know, we have better drainage. Simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Ms. Chauvin?
With the derelict vessels, I knew that there was supposed to have been a report from the sheriff's office that had the boat numbers and boat owners. Has anyone taken that and gone after those people to hold them responsible?
So not only did we have the sheriff's office tag vessels, we had, I forgot what company came in and did it, but we did a side sonar scan to identify vessels. I had the same concerns as far as like, what if they have oil? What if they have diesel or whatever it is? You know, we're definitely trying to get the most bang for our buck. And as we're going through that process, I kind of look at it similar to a nuisance and abatement, you know, where let's try to get as clean as much as we can, removed as much as we can, and then kind of come back on that backside. And part of this is working, and you know, we were talking about a few ordinances that we want to work on and get done. We have some sooner rather than later deadlines that I've put on our legal group to make sure we get some of these ordinances adjusted that allows us to have more teeth when it comes to derelict structures and derelict vessels. And so I'm really hoping to have that information sooner rather than later, and that all that could kind of go together and allow for us to do some of these things.
And I realized some of it was from Ida, and that I totally can understand because it was a tragedy for some people to lose their boats. But before that, we've had a lot more boats in there that people just, well, you know, we've done this program before where we've picked up derelict boats, and it seems like it just continues because we're not holding people accountable to that situation. And so they're going to have some personal responsibility. I mean, I understand what happened with Ida is different than just letting your boat sink. But I was just wondering if we were going to go that route too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, that's the conversation that we've had in the past, that we need to, as a legislative group, help administration, two-way street here, come up with some stricter ordinances and make sure that we apply those ordinances to some of these people. Listen, Kim deals down the bar, so does Steve and myself. The people know who own the boats. They just don't want to say who owns the boats, all right? So we need some community help with this as well. But once we get it cleaned up, I think by the time we have it cleaned up, we'll have some new ordinances and legislation in place that will help us in the future. Will we ever eradicate it all? Probably not. But if we can minimize it, we'll make Terrebonne a lot prettier place. So thank you all for what you're doing.
And look, just to hear 900 vessels, when you're looking at, like, just to hear that number right off the bat was like, it's a lot of vessels, you know?
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Charles Clare?
Yes, thank you. My question is, we got $1 million in Ida insurance, and it appears it's all going to buy Grand Kaya. Why wouldn't we spend some on some of the other buyers, because they all got derelict vessels?
So I got with our group that's going to handle that, looking at priorities, looking at everything else. Their mindset was, let's try to get the most we can with that $1 million, because if we try to do 5 bayous, and look, once we get this block done, maybe there's an opportunity to do something else. That's why we are looking for other funding. But if I could pick up 150 vessels in one area, or I could pick up 5 here, 10 here, whatever, we definitely want to make sure we best spend that money, knowing that we are in the process of going after funding.
If you're picking up 150 boats, let's say you got $1 million, you pick up 50 boats, and you got 5 buyers, and you take 10 boats in his buyers, still 50 boats. It's not.
No, we're looking at probably picking up twice the amount of boats in
Well, I
one
understand.
area.
I just use it as an arbitrary number. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm just saying that the concept is, and I was looking for best priority or what else could we use, but for us to say we could probably pick up twice the amount of vessels, or maybe even 3 times the amount of vessels in one shot, we're relying on our team and our staff to make those decisions. The ones that they deal with it on a regular basis. So
Mobile demo calls.
yeah, move, demove. So we are definitely relying on them, and we want to put together a plan together. And again, the fact that we're $1 million won't touch. I don't think it's going to touch it.
They ain't come close.
Yeah. So again, we're working at a federal, not only a state level, but a federal level to find funding and having conversations with the Corps of Engineers and the Coast Guard and everybody else to figure out any and every way possible that we can hold people accountable and get assistance to help get as many vessels lifted as possible. So, and I would say that if anybody knows of a situation that is causing danger, causing waterway navigation issues, please report it. Please let us know, and we'll do everything we can to make sure we get the priorities. You know, it was a boat, I forget which body was down, that was in the middle of the waterway, and in Grand Cayenne, and we reached out to try to get it pulled out, and it wasn't considered a navigational hazard. So I can tell you right now, we're going to get that boat out of the middle of the bayou, right? So if you know of an issue, or you know of something that is a safety concern, please make sure we know and that we're aware of it. With 900 vessels, you know, it might have been a tell that, you know, the exact order of priority of all those, but to try to grab as many as we can with MOB and DMOB, you know, I think that's something we need to give a shot to first, right?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Trosclair. Mr. Wazan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to mention the recent cleanup in Bayou Terrebonne up to Bayou Gardens. Got a lot of attention from the public. They've reached out. It's definitely being noticed. I know we got a lot of work to do there, but kudos for getting that beautified. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Wazan. Mr. Bergeron, back to you.
All right. And then, so we're going to go into other projects. We have the health unit construction. Plans are being completed. We're expecting request bids advertised in July. The American Legion project, which is the project tied to bringing all our veterans together in one building. HVAC has been completed. We're going through interior renovations, and we're expected to do bid advertisements in November of '24. The White Country Sports Park, the Boys Common Area and concessions, anticipated completion date of July 8th, 2024. The Limestone parking lot, waiting on award recommendation. The soccer field lighting is starting design, and we also should be going to engineering on tennis courts here shortly. So that's the White Country Sports Park. And then the Whitney Bank building, we're working on getting the vacant spaces occupied. We're working with the DA for a second floor build out that'll hopefully let us offset the cost of what it's going to cost to build out that floor, which allow us to use those fundings for other things in that building and with that building. We're looking at locating the business incubator on the 3rd floor. We're working with Fletcher to design and have a business plan. This will put them right next to TITA, which I think is a mutual beneficial relationship. The bank is moving from the 1st floor to the 4th floor. Once they build out the 4th floor, and then they're going to come back out and redo the 1st floor. So as they do that, we're going to have more space open up on the 1st floor. That'll also be used by Fletcher. And then HPD is going to also have a presence on the 1st floor in that building also. And that is it, if anybody has any questions on that.
So on the Whitney Bank building, the original thought was to move a lot of our people out of properties that were renting into that building. So we're still going to be renting people, or we're moving people?
No, sir. So we, HPD is going to be going back to where they were. The biggest one was Housing and Human Services, because they're with HPD on 311 right now. We have actually been able to work with FEMA, where we are going to what they refer to as an alternate project. So we were able to tear down, it gets confusing. We were able to tear down the American Legion building over on Legion, not American Legion. LSU Ag on Legion. And we are going to find another location for them, whether that's going to end up being in Whitney or one of our other buildings that have been vacated by the sheriff's office. So that allows us to do this alternate project, which will allow us to buy the building on 311 for Housing and Human Services.
Great.
So that was the plan. I know that that was one of the big ones that we had talked about moving, the HPD and them there, but that's kind of where we've ended up with that.
And I'll elaborate on that if you don't mind. So,
Sure.
We have a lot of pieces and parts moving around right now. One big opportunity is going to be whenever the construction's finished in this building, moving a lot of people back. There were conversations about, do we put somebody in this building or that building? We're still looking at that, and we're looking at every, parish building downtown. When you look at the fact that we finished the 2nd floor, DA is able to move some things, allows us, along with the sheriff's office, moving out to move HPD detectives downtown in the courthouse, and then other buildings around there that are being occupied by some of these people that will be moving. We're looking at every organization we talk to that is looking for space, is it better in the Whitney Bank building or one of the other many buildings that we have just downtown? And so we are going through those conversations on a regular basis. And then something we talked about a month ago, we actually looking maybe doing something different based on somebody coming to us and saying, hey, look, I really would like to have a different location. Okay, let's figure out how we move that around. IT was in City Hall. IT is now in this building, and Quality of Life is now in City Hall. And so as we get the VFW building built out, there's even some opportunities. Maybe Quality of Life moves or stays. And so we're constantly looking to make sure we got the people in the best place, the right place. And the goal is to make sure we're not renting anywhere if we can't help it.
Mr. Champagne?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question, whether, is it possible that we can get the same presentation from all the political subdivisions, like the rec departments, where they're at in collecting FEMA money and their projects, the fire departments, or the fire districts? Is there a potential, is it something that the council will request, or will the parish administration be able to request that?
I would guess it'd be dependent on who has authority. And I would.
That'd be the council.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just-
depending on who appoints where and what board
Right.
and everything,
Right.
so.
I guess we should ask for an update from everybody who's receiving funding and what they're doing with their money. So,
All right, we'll get together on that and get something out. Ms. Chauvin?
Okay, you mentioned LSU Ag, and just for point of interest, a lot of the fisheries use that part of it, and you mentioned putting it by the sheriff's office, which would be way up.
No, ma'am, downtown.
Okay, downtown. Okay, I was just asking wherever you put it, just keep it downtown, because I know there's 4-H that they usually use the building. There's the fisheries agents that are usually in it. The fisheries are like right around here, so just a point.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the LSU Ag building was destroyed, which was right across from the fire station in the Legion area. We're actually looking at putting them somewhere. We're looking at putting them one place. Now we're looking at probably another place, which would also be temporary because we are looking for funding to do the LSU Ag, the Ag building out at the Bayou Country Sportsplex, of which we purchased the land. So we're looking at where do we get you to operate now until we get that final thing in place. And that's one of the things I talked about in DC, trying to get funding for. But again, just trying to make sure, and I'm having conversations with each one of these groups. Housing and Human Services, when we looked at moving them into Whitney Bank building, it didn't have the resources they need. They have a warehouse full of stuff. So we're looking at finding funding to get that building purchased, plus the money that Candace was talking about. So, and we've had conversations with just about every organization that's in a parish building and trying to make sure that we have the best resources, they have the latest technology, everything we can do to help make sure all these different organizations are successful.
Yeah, I'm just noticing on that, going back to the power plant, I just wanted to say, because I'd just been to Cameron last week, and I was floored that those people are still on generators. Like everything, it's 4 years. They're still on generators, and it's probably going to be a whole nother year. And so at first I'm looking at our power plant, I'm thinking, man, that's taking a long time. I'm like, oh, okay, let me back up. Hold up a second here. Because they had 4 years, and it's going to be 5 before they even get their lines and all up. So, but good job on that.
Thank you, Ms. Chauvin. Mr. Babin?
Yeah, just speaking of the power plant, and it may be a little bit premature, you said it was going out in design right now. Is there any kind of in time on it? People will ask that question. Is it going to be a 5-year project? Is it going to be a 3-year project? And I'm not trying to pin you down, because just a general idea to the general public where we may stand. Because design on something like that is going to take a long time.
I would say at this point in time, we don't have that answer.
Okay, no, that's fair.
We have FEMA, we're working with FEMA for the second version because we want to make sure that the funding is obligated before we commit to anything. We have some preliminary designs, so we're working on that kind of at the same time. But again, we can't issue them too much funding to move forward if we don't get it obligated. So it's kind of a catch 22 there. I would say probably in 6 to 8 months we would have a better idea of where we are with FEMA and where we are with the design, and then we would be able to really
Good.
say that.
Because we just don't have a couple $100 million laying around in
we
your pocket
don't.
that you could do this with, right? Okay.
Right, we don't. We're looking at about, 170 million, like Parish President said. So we want to make sure that we don't jeopardize any of that.
Perfect. Thank
We
you.
have picked the technology.
Yes.
So we know what we're gonna build. We just
Yeah.
gotta work. And again, that's the conversation we were having, was how much per megawatt are we paying? Where are there economies of scale to build bigger, and where could we bring in funding? Because we have the FEMA process we're going through allows us to bring other funding in. But again, after finding that process was about a year out, when you look at the difference of building it now versus building it later, it's probably a difference of about 10 to 15 million based on current funds. So we said, we don't want to hold up what we need to do with our power plant. Let's start pushing forward with
Correct.
that, and then we could always add later.
Yeah, and as you said, the design is going to be one that can be added on to give us more megawatts. I mean, 80 is what we had. We'd love to have 120, where Terrebonne Parish could be a much bigger player in MISO. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin, and thank you for the presentation. Mr. Leary, you had something to add?
Yeah, this was a presentation for notable projects. I just want to quickly go over some completed projects and some things that will be completed pretty soon.
Sure.
Fleet maintenance building on Plant Road and the service complex and purchasing, the exterior and roof are complete on that. Courthouse Annex project is complete. Beautiful beginnings right there on Tunnel. That's complete. That just got complete. Coming up in 2024, we have the Water Life Museum and Dumas Auditorium, expected completion at the end of July. And we have the Women's Criminal Justice Building at the jail, Building 2, ongoing, expected completion in September. The North Treatment Plant digester tank roof, expected to be delivered this week, completed in October. And that's about it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item D, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Parish Code of Terrebonne Parish by adding to Chapter 18 Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Parish, Section 18-27, Vehicles over 10 tons prohibited, to establish a 10-ton weight limit zone on Timberwood Drive in Timberwood Estates subdivision, beginning at Highway 316 for the entire length of Timberwood Drive, to provide for the installation of said signs and to provide for other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Babin. Second, Mr. Champagne. Members vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Item E, motion to rescind the condemnation order adopted April 23rd, 2024 on the residential structures located at 623 Hobson Street, structures A and C, owned by Reynolds C. Laprousse. Moved by Mr. Harding. Second by Mr. Pleasure. Members vote your machines. Mr. Harding, you turn on your light.
Yes, I would like to have my colleagues know that this particular property, and the reason why I'm rescinding it during the process, I think the property is changing hands right now, so we're allowing them enough time to change the hands of the property. But I would actually be looking forward to actually who's buying the property to do like Ms. Kim is always wants to just you're buying it, but then guess what? You're still under the gun. So just putting it out there for everybody else that gets in that position that we want. Give them a reasonable time, but then they're on the clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. By a vote of 9 yeas, 0 nays, the motion carries. Item 2, public wishing to address the council. A, Ms. Kathleen Celestine, a Houma resident, wishes to address the council regarding Village East Recreation. She's no longer here if she was here. Item B, Ms. Brandy Benoit, a Houma resident, wishes to address the council relative to speed bumps on Dupre Lane in East Houma, and she is no longer here. Item C, Mr. Kenyatta Douglas wishes to address the council regarding Recreation District Number 3A procedures and other matters related to job descriptions, and he is no longer here. Item D, as per speaker cards, in accordance with Section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or questions and answers on non-agenda items. We have no speaker cards. We're going down to 3 committee reports. Budget and Finance, Mr. Pledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on June 24, 2024. And I have one public hearing. Consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and budgeted positions of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Item number 1, Houma Downtown Development, $128,677. Item number 2, pollution control, $116,248. Item number 3, pollution control, $108,000. Item number 4, sanitation vegetation, minus $23,700. Item number 4A, eliminate 1 full-time mechanic, 2, grade 106. Item number 4B, eliminate 1 full-time equipment operator, 2, grade 106. Item number 4C, add 1 full-time crew leader, grade 107. Item number 5, sanitation solid waste, minus $19,310. Item number 5A, eliminate 1 full-time field tech, 1, grade 103. Item number 5B, eliminate 1 full-time field tech, 2, grade 104. Item number 5C, add 1 full-time equipment operator, 2, grade 106, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Ms. Malden?
That was the public hearing that was held tonight. Not the one that was called for on Monday night.
That's the one that I received.
I got it.
You got it?
Well, I got the one that's supposed to be
Yeah, she's right.
here. Not the actual page, we're gonna have to add lib.
All right, let me go to it. C2.
I think this is what you have to do.
You see? What you got there?
Good catch, Ms. Malden.
I didn't think I had all those positions again.
See if that's what that's what you're supposed to be reading. It's the one from Monday night, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The one I asked you some good questions on, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
So I
this one here.
remember.
Yep, okay.
Let's read that.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
You can add lib it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
There was actually 2 that were called for public hearing.
So it's this one here, then. Let me make sure here. This is yours, Daniel? Hold on, let me make sure. All right, here we go. Okay, all right, I got the right one now.
That's it.
Yes, July 10th. Okay. All righty,
Start again.
yeah, I'll just start it all over again. All right. Consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2024 adopted operating budget and budgeted positions of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Item number 1, dedicated emergency fund, $6,226,156. Item number 2, dedicated emergency fund, $5,678,450. Item number 3, Houma Fire Department, $2,367. Item number 4, Risk Management Department, $10,470. Item number 5, Hazardous Mitigation Grant, $10,016,158. And call a public hearing on on July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Pledger, a second by Mr. Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner.
Members, vote your machines.
Good catch, Will. I need to start checking.
Yeah, but I'm gonna vote against the ordinance.
All right. So I didn't see the vote. It went through, Ms. Tammy? Okay. So the 9-0 motion is adopted. Item B, Public Services Committee, Mr. Danny Babin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee meeting held on June 24th, 2024, and I have two public hearings. One, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Parish Code of Ordinances to establish a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit zone along by Delorge roads from the end of the pavement south to the end of the road to provide for the installation of said signs and to provide for other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And number two, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Parish Code of Terrebonne Parish to establish a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit zone along the entirety of South Boudreaux Street in Montague to provide for the installation of said signs and to provide for other matters relative thereto, and call a public hearing on Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Babin, a second by Mr. Trosclair. Members vote your machines. 9 yeas, 0 nays. Motion is adopted. Item 4, streetlights, lights installations, removals, and/or activations. No streetlights were submitted, so no action is necessary. Item 5, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, TGMC Hospital Service District 3, expiring positions on 7/31/24. Mr. Kerry Chauvin, representing the general public, expresses his interest in being reappointed.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. Chauvin and hold the other two over.
We have a motion to open, close, and appoint Mr. Chauvin and hold the others over by Mr. Babin, seconded by Mr. Trosclair. Members vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Mr. Carey, would you like to come up and say a few words, please, sir, since you're in the audience and you patiently sat here through all that boring stuff? We appreciate that. Hang on just a second. Let's get your
Houma.
mic on. All right, go ahead.
All right, Kerry Chauvin, 118 Rue St. Rachel, Houma, Louisiana. Thank you all for the confidence in me being on the board. I really appreciate it. I'm a lifelong resident of Terrebonne Parish. It's been real good to me, the parish, the community, and the government too. And we appreciate everything y'all have done for me, and hopefully I can give a little back to the community by doing this. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you
All
for
right.
putting yourself out there and the work that you're doing. It's always appreciated for all your years of service at Terrebonne Parish. You've done a lot for the community, so enjoy your time now doing what you want to do, not what you have to do.
That's right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
All right, B, Coastal Zone Management and Coastal Restoration Authority Advisory Committee, one vacancy due to resignation. Representing the public, Mr. Marvin Stewart Jr. submits application for consideration.
Motion to open, close, and appoint.
We have a motion by Mr. Pledger to open, close, and appoint Mr. Stewart, seconded by Mr. Harding. Members vote your machines. Eight yeas, 1 abstention. Item C, Consolidated Waterworks, number 1 board, 1 expired term. Representing Council District Number 4, Ms. Terry Chatnier, representing Council District Number 4, expresses her interest in being reappointed.
Open, close, and appoint Ms. Chatnier.
I have a motion to open and close and appoint Ms. Chatnier by Mr. Babin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines. 8 yeas, 1 abstention. Item D, Children and Youth Services Planning Board, 7 expired terms, each representing one of the following: Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, City Court, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, and Terrebonne Parish School Board. Mr. Douglas R. Holloway, representing City Court, submits application and resume for consideration. We have a motion by Mr. Trosclair to open, close, and appoint Mr. Holloway and hold the others over, seconded by Mr. Hamner. Members vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Item 6, staff reports. A, Parish President Jason W. Bergeron is requesting ratification of his recommendation of Mr. Chris Tucker to to the South Central Planning Board.
Is that a motion or an open closing appointment?
It's a motion to ratify by Ms. Chauvin, seconded by Mr. Champagne. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, 0 nays. Item 7, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. A, Recreation District Number 1 Board, 1 expiring term on 7/10/24. Recreation District Number 2-3 Board, 1 expired term. Recreation District Number 6 Board, 2 expiring terms on 7/31/24. Coteau Fire Department District Board, 1 expired term. Children and Youth Services Board, 6 expired terms, each one representing one of the following: Department of Children and Family Services, Bayou Area Children Foundation, Gulf Coast Teaching and Family Services, Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Houma Police Department, and Terrebonne Parish School Board. Planning and Zoning, 1 expired term, applicant must reside in the city of Houma. Downtown Development Corporation, 3 expired terms, each representing the following entities: 1 representing the Parish Council, 1 representing the Historical Society, and 1 representing Downtown Merchants. Municipal Civil Service Board, 1 expired term representing the council, and 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the council nominated by Nicholls State University. South Central Human Services Authority, 1 expired term. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 1 expired term and 1 vacancy due to resignation. Veterans Memorial District Board, 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the parish president south of the Intracoastal. TIDA, 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the parish president. TGMC Hospital Service District Board, 2 expiring terms on 7/31/24. Announcement, Mr. Parish President, you have any announcements?
Yes, I do. I want to point out is that everybody could see or heard a lot of openings. So if you're interested in getting involved in helping the parish move forward, please grab one of those. Just a few events tomorrow at 10 a.m. We have a ribbon cutting on the Hollywood Road Bridge. That bridge will be open. The ribbon cutting is going to be on the Southtown Mandalay side. Saturday, June 29th is a veterans breakfast at the Houma Elks Lodge from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's a free breakfast for all veterans. I know we have a few veterans up here. You get a free breakfast, and if you're not a veteran, $5 you get that breakfast. So maybe y'all can all go eat together. Thursday, July 4th is the Good Earth Festival. 3 p.m. it starts. 9 p.m. is fireworks at the Bayou Country Sportsplex. Couldn't get that out. We have some bands, and it'd be a nice event for the 4th of July. And Saturday, July 6th at the Coca Marina, there is a 4th of July event also at 12 p.m. And we had a ribbon cutting at the Chester Nixon Public Safety Substation today, which was well attended, even though as hot as it was. And I think it was a great event for that community. And if people want to come check out the ribbon cutting tomorrow, we'll be there. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. Council members, Ms. Chauvin.
I just wanted to wish my daughter a happy birthday. It's her 28th birthday.
Mr. Wazan.
Just like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Be safe with the fireworks and be responsible. Watch out for the children. Thank you.
Mr. Bergeron?
Just to add on the fireworks, you can buy fireworks, but they are illegal to pop within city limits. So make sure everybody hears that message. But again, please be safe. Don't blow off your fingers, your hands, and just make sure you're not popping too close to anything that could catch on fire or be damaged. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Babin. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machines.
From the moment you walk into the showroom floor at Trapp Cadillac, you understand our commitment to providing a truly exceptional experience for all returning and new customers.
Our goal is to make sure you're always comfortable while understanding the entire process of getting into your new Trapp Cadillac.
When you drive a Trapp Cadillac, you know performance, bold styling, and our shared commitment to service.
One thing you could always count on here at Trapp Cadillac is our excellent service experience.
Check
Back Bay down to Point Ocean, Thibodeau to Grand Caillou, HTV's part of you. Bayou Black down through Dulac, Southland Mall to City Hall, we'll bring the news to you. Raceland, St. Charles, Bayou Blue, Morgan City and Assumption too, where sugar cane is grown. So much to see on HTV. Stick with us 'cause we're your home.